This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Is the After Party live on a Travel Tuesday, and today we're going to Prague. That'll happen just a little bit later, but some exciting news. We're going to start the show with the beginning of the Pip Watch. You know what that is? The Pip Watch. Remember, we've talked about it before when the bald eagles in Big Bear start getting ready for their eggs to hatch. It's the Pip Watch, and that is what is going on right now in Big Bear. So I thought, well, let's take a look. Here's what's happening in the nest. It's a live shot. The friends of Big Bear have these two cameras perched, one looking right into the nest, and they are still, Jackie and Shadow, nesting and keeping these two eggs that they have in the nest warm. And we'll see what happens, but they're on Pip Watch, so I guess anytime now we could get some action as far as the hatching. They're waiting for the very first crack in the eggs. So far, they're still tending to this clutch. They're adding now in soft grass fluff to help insulate the eggs. Perfect, because the soft grass is growing in the first few days of spring. And the Pip Watch is underway. This is the initial hole that the eaglet makes as it works its way through to the egg. These bald eagles take about 35 days to develop. And the eggs for Jackie and Shadow usually start hatching around day 37, 39, 40. Pardon me. They say the pip may present itself in the shape of a hole, a bump on the side of the egg, a star-shaped indentation or a crack in the egg, and that the parents, Jackie and Shadow, might actually be able to feel that. So as we get closer, they may get up a little more and look at the eggs to see what they can see. And then it'll take a few days from when the pip is first seen for that chick to be able to work itself all the way out of the membrane of the egg. Then once the chick is out, they have to keep them warm and dry and fed. So it's always fun to see the little chicks in the nest as well. So that's the live shot of the nest as the Pip Watch begins. Big yawn. Look like a yawn to me. I don't know. I love when they get up. Oh, there's some nesting happening. Little moving of the nesting materials. Such a pretty view. So there it is. Little slight breeze up there in the nest. It looks like a beautiful day. All right. We will move on. We'll let Jackie and Shadow be, and we'll take a look at a snake. I have a picture of a snake to show you. We'll take this one away, and we'll go to this snake. This is a British snake. Very different from an American snake. Now, this snake is actually pretty amazing. It gave birth once, a virgin birth, kind of reproduced on its own, which was crazy, and now it's done it for a second time. The snake at a British college gives a virgin birth for the second time around. Wow. I guess if it did it once, it can do it a bunch of times. This is a Brazilian rainbow boa. It lives at England's City of Portsmouth College, and it gave birth to 12 babies without a mate. This is the second time that's happened again. The snake's name is Ronaldo. It unexpectedly gave birth to 14 snakes in 2024 without mating. And Ronaldo is a she, and she's just now given birth to 12 more fatherless babies. This is a process of reproducing called parthenogenesis. Apparently, it's only been documented in the Brazilian rainbow boas on 3 occasions, and Ronaldo is the very first of her species to have done it 2 times. Researchers at the college say they've done as much research as they can, and they can't find any record of this happening twice. So, soon, this 14-year-old snake will be leaving the school. Time for her to retire and go back to a private home. And it's very interesting. I don't know why they let her go. I think I'd want to study that a little more. This parthenogenesis has been documented in other captive species. There was an iguana that hatched 8 babies in England last year at a zoo, despite never having shared an enclosure with a male. There was a swell shark that hatched last year at an aquarium in Louisiana in a tank that only held 2 female sharks. So these miracle births, you could say virgin births, happen sometimes, but to happen twice? Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Speaking of animals, we'll round out our animal section with this opossum. This possum is now in Alaska at a zoo. It managed to stow away on a cargo ship bound for Alaska. The Juneau Animal Rescue gets a call saying there's an opossum on the loose in the state's capital. Wouldn't be a big deal maybe anywhere else in America, but it's a big deal in Alaska because they're considered an invasive species there. We in the lower 48 have opossums very common, but in Alaska, no. They said he was trying to get away, but there was no resistance or fight. He wasn't trying to bite, wasn't hissing. So they were able to kind of nudge him right into a trap. They named him Chester, and Chester was taken to the Alaska Zoo, where he was renamed Meatball. There was one other opossum at the zoo who also came stowing away on a boat, but that one was named Grubby, and Grubby died last year. So now they have a new opossum stowaway to take his place. They said they're at the zoo all pretty excited that we're going to get another opossum. So she's healthy. She likes to eat apples and chicken flavored cat food. And now she has a home in Alaska where she won't have to worry about foraging for food anymore. Here's a crazy story, and I had no idea that this is a thing. Did you know, kind of much like our fingerprints, we all have these unique skull vibrations that happen? I did not know that our skulls vibrated. I mean, I guess it makes sense. As we breathe and speak and move, we all have certain ways we do that. And now these tiny vibrations could be used to generate biometric passwords for us. So they said, the folks putting this to use, that fingerprints, eye, or other biometrics can have privacy concerns. So this new security system in development could solve the password problem by using the vibrations in our skulls. Those are generated by our heartbeat, our breathing. The vibrations move through our skulls and are unique to our individual face tissue and bone structure. And the thinking is this company, Vital ID, is now designing an extended reality setting and security system. They presented it at the 2025 Conference on Computer Communications Security. They think that this would be best used for XR, extended reality. It's a combination of virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality technologies, mixing digital content with the real world. kind of like MetaQuest and Oculus. But this technology is now expanding from the gaming world into the worlds of finance, medicine, education, and remote work. And as it increases, which they say is inevitable and it will, these XR security systems become more and more urgent. One of the study co authors, specializing in remote sensors at Rutgers University, said extended reality will play a major role in our future. If immersive systems are going to become woven into daily life, authentication has to be secure, has to be continuous, and it has to be effortless. So here's how it works. I know, are you still tripping out that your skull vibrates? I am. Vital ID uses simple biology for security issues. Even when we're sitting still, according to Vital ID, our bodies are moving in subtle ways. Every breath, every heartbeat creates tiny little vibrations that travel through our neck and into our head. And once they reach the skull, they make our heads shake slightly. And since we all have a different head shape, thickness, and bone structure, the vibrations change in unique ways as they travel. And because of all of this, we have a distinct vibration pattern within our skulls. What will they think of next? Motion sensors that already reside in virtual reality headsets can detect these tiny patterns to determine who is wearing the device. They say they don't even need to add any additional hardware. It only requires software. So they did a study and they tested 52 users over a 10-month period wearing two popular XR headsets. And the system correctly authenticated legitimate users more than 95% of the time. It rejected unauthorized users more than 98% of the time. They built a filtering system, removing the interference from extra head and body movement like nodding. It helped the headset only focus on the tiny vibrations in the skull that are caused by us breathing and our heartbeat. And then they used computer models to analyze the skull vibration patterns. Might be more difficult to mimic since they travel internally through a person's bone and tissue. So someone might imitate another person's breathing rhythm, but they cannot replicate the biomechanical properties of another person's skull quite so easily. And the headset would constantly sense these subtle vibrations, confirming that the right person is using it. And already, the XR headsets can store confidential documents and personal accounts, access to web services. But when you're wearing a headset, the typing in of passwords can be a little awkward. Uh, so, yeah, we're doing the skull thing, I guess. I don't know. Fascinating. See what you learn here on the After Party Live? Your skull is vibrating as we speak. It's true. Which leads me to need a glass of wine. After all of this, not this wine though. We can't afford it. This is a bottle of wine from 1945. I betcha it's not even good anymore, but it's really old and it has now become the most expensive bottle of wine ever sold at auction. This wine. $812,500. It's a 750 milliliter bottle of Domaine de la Romane Conti. It was sourced from the personal wine cellar of Robert Drohin, and it went on auction over the weekend. The previous most expensive bottle of wine sold at auction was for $558,000. And that was, I needed some wine right now. Pardon me for a vanilla tea break. That was in 2018, 558,000. This 1945 Romane Conti according to auctioneers, represents the final vintage produced before Domaine de la Romani Conti replaced its oldest vines, grapes that has survived phylloxera, 2 world wars, and nearly a century of Burgundy history. With production extremely limited, surviving bottles have long been considered the pinnacle of wine collecting, with many connoisseurs believing the pre-phylloxera vines add an unmatched depth and complexity to wine. They think the wine is worth the price. One of the folks with the auction said they'd had the privilege of tasting this particular vintage 3 times, and it is the greatest wine they had ever tasted. So, $812,500 for 1 bottle of wine. It better be really good. Wouldn't it be a bummer to open that and find out it was rancid? There is a lot going on when it comes to stargazing in the month of April. Look at those beautiful skies. We've got an early micromoon, a comet flyby, the Lyrid meteor shower. So if you're a stargazer, you're going to like the month of April. April 1st, tomorrow, April Fool's Day, we get a full pink moon, and that is no joke. The moon, the pink moon, should be pretty good. It is a reference to the flowers that bloom as winter releases its icy grasp. The April full moon is also a micromoon, placing it firmly at the opposite end of the scale from the string of supermoons that we had from October through January. So the micromoon is a full moon that happens when the moon is at or near its furthest distance from the Earth. So that means it'll look relatively small. It's a little April moonlet. 10:12 p.m. Eastern on April 1st, it will reach its peak illumination. April 17th is being called the best chance to see this comet, named C2025R3. Could be the brightest comet this year. Its approach to Earth isn't until April 27th. But the evening of April 17th could actually be the best time to catch it because there will be no moonlight to interfere with the comet viewing action. You'll still, they say, need a telescope or a good pair of binoculars. April 19th, the Moon, Venus, and Pleiades conjunction. A spectacle of a tiny crescent moon poking its way out from the constellation Pleiades just above the planet Venus. It'll be in the western sky, not far above the horizon. It'll be pretty cool. Then April 22nd, it's the Lyrid meteor shower. That's the predicted peak of it. They'll be around for a couple of weeks, but peaking April 22nd with excellent viewing conditions, weather permitting. The meteor shower will last from April 15th to the 29th. The predicted peak on April 22nd. And it should be really cool. They say you can expect to see 10 to 15 meteors per hour. But the Lyrids have uncommon surges, so you never know. Could be even more. So that's what we have to look forward to for the month of April. Also in April, we have our big Easter celebrations for those who observe. But even if you don't observe, perhaps you can still appreciate this. It is the world's largest Cadbury mini egg. It's not really mini. It apparently weighs as much as an emu. They spent 2 days making this Easter treat. They did it by hand. They did it because there was such success over at Cadbury when they made the world's largest Cadbury cream egg in 2025. So now they've decided they're going to make the world's largest Cadbury mini egg. They call it the Mega Mini Egg. It took 3 chocolatiers 2 days To make this by hand, it is 27 and a half inches tall. It weighs 121 pounds, which is about as much as an emu or a petite woman. The Mega Mini egg has a pastel pink sugar coating on its crisp shell, some speckles on its surface. They said making the Mega Mini egg felt like the perfect next challenge. They scaled it up into a showstopper. They say it's been very rewarding to see it come to life, and they can't wait for visitors to come see it in person this Easter. It is on display right now at the chocolate making area at the Cadbury World in Bournville, England. That's about 100 miles northwest of London. The Cadbury World. If you were able to take a bite out of this egg, which you can't do that. They said it wouldn't kill you, but it's not too good for you. I didn't even know chocolate could kill you. So the adult human weighing 165 pounds would need to eat 75,000 milligrams of chocolate for it to be at a toxic level. It would take 711 regular sized Hershey milk chocolate bars. If you ate 711, you would have toxic levels, or 7,084 Hershey Kisses, or 332 Hershey's dark chocolate bars, but you'd probably get sick way before you managed to put all that away. I don't know why you would want to do that. But happy Easter to those who observe. Something else happening this week. It's the Artemis 2 launching. All system almost go to step on the moon one more time, returning astronauts to the lunar surface, scheduled to launch on, I believe, the evening of Wednesday, April 1st, so tomorrow night. They're already starting up the computer monitors and doing all their checks and all these other things that have to happen before the flight. The mission will go on for 10 days. There are 4 crew members: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, and they will be the first people to venture into space aboard Orion. And they'll also be the first people sent off the planet Earth by the Space Launch System SLS. This is supposed to be the most powerful rocket that NASA has ever launched. It generates 1 million more pounds of thrust than the Saturn V of the Apollo era. Artemis 2 is not supposed to land on the moon, but fly around it and prepare the way for a future crew to land. The mission profile, it'll be interesting. They say it's a little risky. This is the first time we're flying humans on this vehicle, and all of the life support systems and many of the other systems are brand new. So, Artemis 2 will orbit Earth twice, but after the first orbit, the SLS upper stage will fire to push Orion into a gigantic ellipse with its low point around 115 miles above Earth and its high point about 46,000 miles away. Then it'll take about 23 and a half hours to travel all the way around, and during that time, the crew will check the performance of their life support, communications, and critical systems. And as they test drive the spacecraft, manual navigation, manual burns, manual targeting, manual communication is all expected to be used. During the test drive, the spacecraft then will separate from the SLS upper stage and perform an automated backflip, reorienting itself to face the upper stage, now a target for rendezvous. Then the pilot will operate the spacecraft using hand controllers for about an hour, approaching to within about 30 feet of the SLS upper stage, evaluating Orion's response as they fire their 24 thrusters to rotate the ship and move it forward, back, and side to side. It is designed to be a self-driving spaceship, but the astronauts are developing a guide to manual backups in case an automatic system fails. So hopefully they'll be able to launch tomorrow night as planned. Here's something cool that was just found. It's a cannonball intact from the Battle of the Alamo. And it was found by archaeologists one day before the 190th anniversary of the Battle of the Alamo. This one is made of bronze, so that makes them think that the archaeologists that it was fired by the Mexican army during the siege leading up to the battle in 1836. It was likely fired leading up to the Battle of the Alamo. This, of course, the key moment in Texas's fight for independence from Mexico. 190 years ago. It's a 4-pound bronze projectile. It was buried about 3 feet deep near the northeast corner of the Alamo Church, which is part of the 18th century Spanish mission at the heart of the battle. They found it on March 5th, the day before the 190th anniversary. Very interesting. It's a literal artifact, according to senior researchers from the Battle of the Alamo, and you're holding it for the first time since the battle happened. They say it's wild to think about. This projectile probably fired by the Mexican army because they generally used bronze cannonballs. The Texans primarily fired iron cannonballs. It doesn't mean that they didn't capture each other's stuff and then turn around and use it, but it really is thought to be a Mexican army cannonball, likely fired at the Battle of the Alamo. They were doing ongoing renovations at this site, managed by a nonprofit trust in partnership with the state of Texas. The $550 million multi-year project, including the construction of a new collection center, visitor center, and museum, and an educational venue. They're also replacing the roof on the Alamo Church. And they purchased 2 neighboring hotels to protect the historic grounds and create a seamless visitor experience. So this cannonball is just the latest item recovered. Over the last year, they've also discovered 4 exploding shot fragments, 3 of them made of bronze, 1 made of iron. Initial measurements indicate the rounds were probably fired from an 8-inch howitzer that belonged to the Mexican army. So interesting. Battle of the Alamo took place March 6th, 1836, during the Texas Revolution. And there it was, just sitting there this whole time, waiting. All right, it is time for the Travel Tuesday. I'm going to take a little trip, and this time we're going to Prague. Beautiful Prague. A bustling city, a prosperous city, and a tourist mecca. Dating back to about 870 AD. This is a place that has withstood numerous overthrows, invasions, fires, floods. It has a reputation for survival and perseverance. I thought maybe we could use a little perseverance. It's also a hidden gem, they say. So let's go check out Prague. These are the 10 most interesting things to do in Prague that are completely worth it. The first one is to take a stroll across the Charles Bridge. The views are absolutely incredible. And here is what you will see. That is the Charles Bridge. And off we go. The Charles Bridge, or also Karlov Most. It's one of the most famous pedestrian bridges in the world. It connects the old town to the lesser town. It's an extremely photogenic walk. You get views of the Prague Castle, the Taller River, Old Town Tower, and the Lesser Town Tower Bridge. So here's the view from one direction, and here's a view with the Lesser Town Tower Bridge and St. Nicholas Church as well. Get out there and walk around. What a beautiful place to take a walk. Just gorgeous. So many pictures to be taken. There are 30 statues lining this bridge. Many of them are famous saints. The oldest statue on the bridge is Saint John of Nepomuk. I have a picture of Saint John of Nepomuk. It is a beautiful statue. This saint was, in life, tossed from the bridge, and then a statue erected in his honor. Yeah, throw him over the side and build a statue. It's a bronze statue of a saint with a golden halo around his head. Touching the Charles Bridge here is said to bring you good fortune and ensure that you will return to visit Prague once again. Saint John of Nepomuk. Second on the list is to climb the towers of Prague. Prague is called the city of 100 spires, and they say there's no better way to see it than to climb the Gothic towers in Prague. And the first tower we'll be climbing is the Old Town Hall Tower. And here is, it's a long way up. Can we make it? That's the question. I don't know if we can make it. We're really going to have to try on this one. Here's another picture of it. That looks a little more doable, right? This is a tower that's part of the Old Town Hall, sitting right next to one of the most famous squares in the city. The Prague Astronomical Clock is located outside of the Old Town Hall. And there's an elevator that takes you most of the way to the top, making it the easiest tower to visit in Prague. The next portion of the climb can be done with a short elevator ride or a 5-minute walk up the large spiraling ramp. We could do a 5-minute walk up the spiraling ramp, no problem, right? Here's the spiraling ramp. We got this. It's fine. Then it's one final climb up a narrow metal spiral staircase. So you will have to climb a few steps, but apparently nothing compared to the other tower climbs on this particular list. And the views are absolutely incredible. I think worth the physical struggle. Oops, let me take the picture down, because here's what we're going to see. Look at that. That's beautiful. Look at those old buildings, old churches, all the red roofs. Beautiful. That's the view from the Old Town Tower Hall. Here's another view. This one is the view from the one more view from the Town Tower Hall, so looking out the other way. So pretty. This is the Old Town Bridge Tower we're looking at there. Look at those statues on that tower. So amazing. You can climb the steps here. This sits at the eastern end of the Charles Bridge. You get the iconic view of the Charles Bridge with a backdrop of Prague Castle and views over the Old Town. They say it's one of the best views in the city. So interesting. Look at that view. Incredible. This is a view from the Old Town Bridge Tower. Oops, I'm sorry. There it is. Sorry, got ahead of myself there. And here is a view from the Lessertown Bridge Tower on the western end of the Charles Bridge, opposite from the Old Town Bridge Tower. So you get a unique view. I'll scroll down. Here it is. Look at all those people on the bridge walking along. It's the opposite view from the Old Town Bridge Tower. So you get to see this Charles Bridge, Malastrana, or Lesser Town, Prague Castle, and the dome of the St. Nicholas Church in the background. You can see that green dome. Look at that. Really, really cool. Here's another view of it. Oh, you can see the castle. I'm all for a good castle. And the dome. Beautiful pictures. Yep. Here's another tower to climb. It's called the Powder Tower. It is a Gothic tower located to the east and the heart of the Old Town. Doesn't have the same iconic views as the towers we've already climbed, but it still brings you a beautiful view of the town. And here's what it looks like. Yeah, that's worth climbing, I'd say. Look at that. Look at that. We're getting the views without even having to do the climbing. Third thing on the list is to visit Prague Castle. According to Guinness World Records, which we love on this show, Prague Castle is the largest castle complex in the world. Here it is. It is pretty big. Humongous. It's the official office of the President of the Czech Republic. It was the seat of power for Bohemian kings, Holy Roman emperors, and Czechoslovakian presidents. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is massive. You can spend an hour or two or even a full day at Prague Castle. There's all kinds of ticket options, multiple entrances. In roughly 2 to 3 hours, you can visit the old royal palace, visit St. Vitus Cathedral, St. George's Basilica, walk along the Golden Lane, and add on the tower climb at St. Vitus Cathedral for a bird's eye view of Prague. That sounds fun. That is a big castle. And here's what it looks like to walk the Golden Lane. Picturesque, beautiful thing to do. And the view from the South Tower of St. Vitus Cathedral. Everywhere you go in Prague, there are amazing views of this city from every angle. Number 4 on the list is a visit to St. Nicholas Church. It's a Baroque church in the lesser town, just down the hill from Prague Castle, and just a short walk from the Charles Bridge. Here it is. Wow. I'm going to back out of this just a little bit. You can see oh goodness, how beautiful is that? So that's the outside, which is amazing in and of itself. But take a look at the inside of this church is incredible. Wow. Beautiful. I'll definitely go here with you. This church dates back to the 13th century. In the 18th century, it was totally rebuilt. You need to climb the steps to the second level for an even better view of the nave and the interior of the cathedral. There is a small fee to enter this church. They have a ticket booth in the lobby for everybody, so no problem. You can also get another view of the city by climbing the bell tower of the St. Nicholas Church. You're going up a series of wooden staircases that take you outdoors and to the indoor observation platforms. But it is a beautiful view. You have to buy a ticket from the ticket booth next to the tower, which is a separate ticket office from the one inside the church. And it's pretty cool. Here's another view of it. That's worth going up for, right? Wow. And you're very close to the dome right there. That's a view of the Prague Castle from the St. Nicholas Church. And then, if we're not tired of climbing and using our legs, let's take a stroll through the Old Town. Because one of the best things to do in Prague is wander through the colorful cobblestone streets of Old Town. They're lined with shops and restaurants and old, beautiful buildings that make you just want to stop and look up. Strolling from the Old Town Tower Bridge along Karlova Street to the Old Town Square is scenic, but also worth our time to walk along the narrow streets that branch out from there. Here's another shot. Look at these buildings. Wow. So cool. What a thing to do. Number 6, we have to go to the Old Town Square. The iconic square, one of the oldest, grandest squares in Prague. And here is a look at it. Oh, that's the church. Is this the square? They have markets here that are really fun to go check out. That looks like more like the buildings and less like the square. But that's all right. In the 11th century, markets were regularly held at the square. They continue to this day, including Prague's best Christmas market. But it's also a landmark of the city and a popular tourist attraction. It's surrounded by other famous buildings, including the Old Town Hall, the Tyne Church, the second St. Nicholas Church in Prague, Baroque and Rococo houses. Running through the Old Town Square is the Prague Prime Meridian. It was used to tell time from 1652 to 1918. And here's the Tyne Church. It's also called the Church of Our Lady Tyne, and it is the main focal point of Old Town Square. On the inside, it's supposedly pretty plain looking. On the outside, it's pretty cool. There's Old Tyne Church. Wow. I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. It's beautiful. So, you can't take pictures inside, but you can take pictures outside. Here's a better picture of the square. My apologies. There it is. That's where they have all the markets. That's so cool. The next thing on the list, number 7, is to watch the show at the astronomical clock. We'll do it. Here it is. Ooh, that clock is really cool. Go check it out. It's a complicated mechanism that shows several different versions of time. At the top of every hour, the clock puts on a brief show. A skeleton rings his bell, 12 apostles walk by, a rooster crows, and then the clock chimes. Why not? Here's another picture. So that's the up close of the clock, but look at the old building on which this clock sits. That's beautiful. And here's all the people. Apparently, it's a very popular thing to do, to watch the clock. It's a big draw each hour. Number 8 on the list is to visit the Jewish Quarter. It's also called the Jewish Ghetto. It is an area near the Old Town where Jewish people lived in Prague. At one time, it's estimated that more than 18,000 people lived within this small walled-off area. Most of that quarter was demolished at the beginning of the 20th century. There's only a few buildings that now remain. But there are some amazing places to visit here, including the new synagogue in this area. There's a picture of that. It's Europe's oldest. It's called the Old New Synagogue. It's Europe's oldest active synagogue, built in 1270, and it's one of Prague's first Gothic buildings. And here's a picture of the inside. Ooh, that's pretty. The old Jewish cemetery. You can go and see it. It's one of the largest Jewish cemeteries in Europe. People buried here between the 15th century and 1786. And because of the lack of space, the tombstones are stacked on top of each other there. You can go check out the Pincus Synagogue. There's a picture of that. It is the second oldest surviving synagogue in Prague. Today, it commemorates or remembers more than 77,297 Czech Jewish victims of the Holocaust. And then there's the Spanish synagogue. Look at all those tiles. That's so pretty. This is the newest synagogue in the Jewish quarter, built on the same site as the oldest synagogue. It was built in a Moorish revival style. There's a permanent exhibition about the history of the Jews in Bohemia from the 1780s until after World War II. You got to go check out the statue of Franz Kafka. There it is, the Jewish novelist. His best-known works include Metamorphosis and The Trial, and the statue is right outside of the Spanish synagogue. And after this full day, we're going to enjoy a glass or two of Czech beer because they brew some of the world's best beer. And so there are a gazillion pubs and beer halls to visit in Prague. You can also go to a beer spa where you soak in a tank of beer. And you can go to the Pilsner Urquell experience at the Tapster Academy, where you can learn how to perfectly pour a pint of beer. You can also take a tour where you sample 7 varieties of Czech beer paired with cheese and crackers. And the last stop is going to be the Lenin Wall. There it is, in all of its graffitied glory. It's kind of in honor of John Lennon. When he was killed in 1980, this wall was covered with memorial graffiti overnight. They did it the night he died. And every night the police would paint over the graffiti, and the next day it would be right back where it was. John Lennon's idea is said to have given the Czech people hope during communist rule. So this particular wall became a symbol of freedom. It is located in Malá or Lesser Town. There's another picture of it. I love that. Go paint it the next day. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. The National Museum. The buildings here contain almost 14 million objects. It's at the top of Wenceslas Square. It underwent a renovation, a major renovation, recently. It's got a beautiful domed ceiling, murals on the domed ceiling. Here's a picture of that. Just really beautiful. That's incredible. So, a lot of museums to see, a lot of churches and synagogues to see. And we'll end it with maybe a little chimney cake. How about this? We'll try one of these. Look at that. Doesn't that look interesting? It's called a turdlink, Trdlnik. Tridlink. They also call them chimney cakes. We'll call them chimney cakes. They're Prague's best sweet treat. It's dough wrapped around a large stick, baked over an open fire, slowly rotating like a rotisserie chicken, and then it's topped with sugar and walnuts. You can eat it plain, or you can fill it with ice cream, and there are stands all over Prague selling the chimney cakes. I think that's a great way to end it. And that, my friends, is Travel Tuesday. I hope you had a good time. Saw things maybe that you wouldn't normally see. Saw views of Prague that you wouldn't see because maybe you don't really intend to climb the tower. That's all right. We'll end the show with the lotto of the day. And this is a story about a Pennsylvania man who had to make a pit stop. He's from Pennsylvania, but he's in Maryland on a family road trip, had to pull over for an unplanned stop. He's from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He said he was driving home in early March with his daughter and granddaughter when they made a stop for food at Rutter's in Taneytown. And he buys a $5 moneymaker scratch off during the stop and continues on the drive home. And it wasn't until 2 weeks later that his wife found the unscratched ticket while cleaning up, and reminded him, scratch that ticket, check it. Initially, he said he wasn't sure what he was seeing on that ticket, so he gave it to his daughter to scan, and she confirmed, Dad, that's a $50,000 winner. He is going to take some of that prize money to fund a family vacation for next year as well. And that is the lotto of the day. For all the ways you contribute to the show, so appreciate it. Wes throwing in some money today, Joe F., Donald S., Janet W., Kathleen G., the most recent contributors via PayPal. Very much appreciate the effort to help keep this show going. Can't even tell you. It's so lovely that you would do that. Thank you for the messages. Thank you, Glenn, for throwing in. These are my third and fourth Aussie dollar. More Aussie dollars for you, Kim. Thank you. I love the Aussie dollars. I feel so international. Perfect for Travel Tuesday, Glenn. Thank you. Awesome. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show. It's a huge, huge show tomorrow. We have guests. It's like every 15 minutes, there's another guest. We'll start with John Rothman. We welcome JL Kovan. We then will talk to Belinda Weymouth, who returns from her extended vacation. And then David Serrata from The Lever will join us as well. It's expected to be a longer show tomorrow. So that's kind of going to be the way it happens sometimes, between an hour and 40 minutes, 2 hours-ish. So tomorrow's going to probably be a long one. So that'll be a really good show. And then we'll check out some waterfalls here on the After Party Live tomorrow. But until we meet again, make it the very best day. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Thank you, Hilo Karen. Please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Don't unsubscribe. Make sure it's highlighted. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out with us. I love it. It's a lot to me. I'll take it. Plus, it's super cool.